The wind was dry. The sky burned red above a broken world. Jake stepped over cracked stones and metal bones. The city was dead. Long ago, this place had been home to tall towers, glowing lights, and alien voices. Now it was only dust, ashes, and silence. He was alone. Or at least, that's what the scanners said. No life signs, no movement. Just the ruins of a once great alien race. Jake was a human explorer, part of a cleanup mission. Earth had won the war. The alien planet had lost. His job was to search the ruins and report anything strange. Maybe old tech. Maybe a hidden weapon. Maybe something forgotten. He moved carefully. Each step echoed through the empty streets. His boots crunched over glass and twisted wires. The silence made his skin crawl. Then he heard it. A sound. A soft sound. He stopped. He held his breath. There it was again. A cry, faint, weak, almost like a whisper. Jake turned quickly. He raised his blaster. The cry came from the far side of a broken wall. He moved slowly, carefully, heart pounding. Hello? He called out. Is someone there? No answer. He climbed over fallen beams and entered what looked like an old temple. The air inside was warm and heavy. Something pulsed under the floor, like the beat of a quiet heart. And then he saw her. At first, he thought she was just a shadow. But then she moved. Curled in the corner, hidden under broken stone, was a small figure. Thin arms, pale purple skin, long silver hair full of dust. Her body shook with each breath. Jake dropped to his knees. Hey, it's okay, he said softly. I'm not here to hurt you. Her eyes opened. They were bright, glowing softly, even in the dark. Not like human eyes, older, sadder, but still full of life. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Jake opened his pack and pulled out a water pouch. He held it to her lips. She drank slowly, carefully. Who are you? He asked. She looked up. Her lips trembled. Then she spoke. My name is Alira. Jake blinked. You're alive, but how? She shook her head. I don't know. AID in a deep chamber. My people are gone, all gone. Jake couldn't believe it. Everyone thought her species was extinct. This planet had been declared dead, but she was here. Alive. And afraid. Alira tried to stand, but her legs failed her. Jake caught her before she fell. Her skin was cold. Too cold. You need help, he said. I can call for evac. No. She cried, panic in her voice. Don't call them. Don't tell them I'm here. Jake paused. Why? She looked into his eyes. Because they will take me, study me, maybe even kill me. Please, I can't go with them. He didn't answer right away. His orders were clear. Report anything alive or alien, but something about her. She wasn't a threat. She was just lost. Broken. Alone. Jake helped her sit near a wall. He gave her more water, a protein bar. She ate slowly, as if every bite hurt. Then she said something strange. I'm not just the last. I'm the last hope. Jake frowned. What do you mean? Alira touched her chest. A soft blue light blinked under her skin. This is my core, she said. It holds the life of my people. Their memory, their strength, but it is dying. And with it, all we were will be gone forever. Jake leaned closer. Can it be saved? She hesitated. Then she whispered, only one way, only with a human male. Jake pulled back, confused. Wait, what? Our ancestors knew, she said, voice shaking. Only humans can bond with us now. You are the missing key. Jake stared at her. This had to be a joke, some mistake. But the fear in her eyes was real. The sadness. The pain. I don't understand, he said quietly. Alira looked up at him. I don't want to die. Not yet. Not before I try. A long silence followed. Outside, The wind blew through the broken city. Dust moved through the temple like ghosts. Jake stood slowly. He didn't know what to think, what to feel, but one thing was clear. He wasn't alone anymore, and this mission had just changed forever. Hook. Jake thought he was dreaming. The scanners said the planet was dead. No life, no signals, no heat. But now, under the red sky of a ruined world, a soft heartbeat echoed beside his own. It was hers, and it was fading. Jake watched Alira sleep beside the fire he had built. Her small frame shook under the silver blanket he gave her. Her skin, once glowing faint blue, was now dim and pale. She wasn't supposed to exist, but she did, and now she might not live through the night. Jake stared at his device. He could call Earth Command right now. One message and a rescue team would come for her. For him, for answers, but her voice echoed in his head. Don't call them, they'll take me. They'll end me. He looked at her again. She was breathing, but barely. He had to help her. Stay alive, he whispered. Jake stood up and opened his emergency kit. Inside were shots for energy, pain, and healing. Made for humans, but maybe they could work for her. He didn't know. He chose the smallest healing vial. Gently, he pressed it into her arm and injected half the dose. Alira flinched. Her eyes opened slowly. Well, what did you do? She whispered. Trying to help you, Jake said. You're cold. Your heartbeat is weak. Alira tried to sit up, but winced. My body is not meant to live long, she said. We were made to live fast. Love fast. Die fast, Jake frowned. What do you mean, made? Alira touched the small crystal glowing under her skin. We were a created race, a mix of biology and memory. Not born from love, but from need. We had one goal, survive by bonding. Jake sat beside her. Bonding, like mating? She nodded. Yes, we were designed to feel everything. Emotion, energy, pain, joy. But we could only bond once in our lives. One partner, one connection. And you never bonded? He asked. No, she said quietly. I was too young when the war started. My people died before I could find the one. Jake looked at her gently. And now you believe I might be that one? She smiled sadly. My core says yes. When you touched me, it glowed. That has never happened before. Jake remembered that moment, the soft light, the warmth through his fingers. Like lightning had passed between them. He didn't know what it meant. But it didn't feel wrong. Alira's voice broke the silence again. If I bond now, my body might live longer, my core might stabilize. But it can only bond with someone who truly accepts me. Jake didn't speak. Alira looked away. You're scared. It's okay, I understand. I'm not scared, Jake said slowly. I'm unsure. This is all too much. A deep silence hung between them. Then Alira spoke again, voice soft and trembling. Before I hid, I saw my world burn. My parents held me as fire fell from the sky. They placed me in a deep sleep pod. I woke up years later, alone, hungry, forgotten. Jake felt a weight on his chest. I walked through empty streets, she said. No voices, no laughter, just silence. Until I found that old temple. I stayed there, waiting, hoping, but no one ever came. Until now, Jake said quietly. She looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. Yes, until you. Jake reached out and held her hand. This time, the glow returned, soft and warm between their skin. Alira gasped softly. It's happening again. Jake's heart raced. Then, suddenly, beep beep BT's device came to life. Explorer 17, respond. We detected a foreign energy signal. Are you safe? Do you require assistance? Jake froze. He looked at Alira. She stared at the device, fear written on her face. Please, don't tell them. she whispered. Jake pressed a button. His voice shook. This is Explorer 17. Negative, no assistance needed. Must be background radiation. I'll continue my sweep. The com went silent. Jake looked at Alira. You don't have to be afraid. I won't let them take you. Alira's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you. He pulled the blanket around her tighter. And for the first time, she smiled. But far above them, in the sky, a small black ship moved quietly through the clouds, watching, listening. Something, or someone, had also picked up Alira's energy signal, and they were coming. Hook, the night was too quiet. Jake couldn't sleep. Not because of fear, but because of the way Alira had touched his hand. It wasn't just warm, it wasn't just soft. It felt like something deep inside him had been unlocked, like something ancient had remembered him. Jake sat near the fire, staring into the flames. Alira was resting in the corner of the ruined shelter. Her skin glowed slightly, brighter than before. Her breathing was slow but steady now. She looked peaceful, but Jake's thoughts were not. He had touched her hand, and something had changed. He had felt her thoughts, flashes of light, memories, sounds, and feelings that weren't his. A broken city, children laughing, a tall alien with kind eyes, then fire, screams, silence. But most of all, he had felt her loneliness. Jake stood and walked outside the old structure. The sky was still red. The wind carried fine ash through the air. The stars above were quiet watchers. He opened his wrist computer and looked again at the strange energy reading. The spike had come right after he touched her. No human tech had ever recorded something like that. He didn't understand what was happening, but Alira did, and it was time for answers. Alira woke to the sound of footsteps. She looked up and saw Jake standing over her with a gentle face. You're feeling better? He asked. She nodded. Yes, because of you. Jake sat beside her. Alira, he said, voice calm but serious. I need you to tell me the truth. Everything. Who are your people, really? And what did you mean when you said I'm the key? Alira looked down at her hands. For a moment, she stayed quiet. Then she touched the glowing crystal under her skin. Our kind were made by an older race, she said. They were not gods, but close. They built us to feel, to love deeply, to connect souls. That was our gift. And our curse. Jake listened carefully. We were the Pelixari, she continued. We could bond once with only one soul in the universe. Our bond was not just physical. It was everything. Mind, heart, spirit. Jake raised an eyebrow. But what does that have to do with humans? Alira looked at him, eyes glowing softly. When the galaxy began to change and war came, our creators feared we would die, so they placed something inside us. A new path, a hidden key. Jake leaned forward. A key to what? To survival, she whispered. But it could only unlock with a human. Jake felt his stomach twist. You mean, we were meant to connect, our species? She nodded. Yes, we were too fragile, too soft, but humans were different. Strong hearts, fierce loyalty. You were born for war, but also for love. Jake didn't know what to say. It was like a fairy tale. Except real. Lira continued. There were tests long ago. But then your people forgot, and we were hunted to extinction. Jake's hands clenched. Who hunted you? Her voice shook. The black ships. Machines, created by those who feared our bond. They thought if we spread, we would change the galaxy. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. So they killed you. Because of what you could feel? Alira nodded. And now, only I remain. A long silence followed, then Alira took his hand again. This time, the glow between their skin grew brighter. Warmth filled the air. A sound like a soft song echoed in Jake's ears, but not from outside. From inside his mind, he saw her again, not her body, but her soul, and she saw his. They were connected, even if just for a second. He pulled back, breath shaking. What was that? Alira smiled faintly. The first spark. If we complete the bond, the core inside me will live. I will live. Jake stared at her. But what happens to me? You'll change too, she said gently. Not in body, but in heart. You'll feel me always, even across stars. Before Jake could answer, a loud noise cracked through the sky. Boom. They both turned. Above them, a black ship floated down, silent and sharp like a knife. Alira's eyes went wide. No, they found me. Jake grabbed his blaster. Get behind me. The sky darkened, and the past had finally caught up. Hook. The old stones began to shake. It was slow at first, like a heartbeat rising from deep underground. Jake stepped outside with his blaster ready. Alira grabbed his arm, her eyes wide with fear. Not them, she whispered. Please, not them. But it was too late. From the broken jungle behind the ruins, something moved cold, fast. Metal. The hunters had returned. A low mechanical growl echoed through the trees. Jake raised his blaster and scanned the shadows. The firelight flickered behind him, but the jungle in front was dark. Too dark. Alira's breath came fast. Her skin dimmed with fear. I remember that sound, she whispered. That's what I heard when my parents died. Jake stepped forward, placing himself between her and the trees. Stay behind me, he said. Then they came. 3 metal creatures, each taller than a man, crawled from the underbrush. Their legs were sharp, like spider legs. Their bodies were smooth black armor. Their eyes glowed red. They made no sound with their mouths. Just a soft click, click, click from inside their bodies. Alira took a step back. Drones, old war hunters, built only to kill. Jake fired. The bolt hit the first one in the chest, sending sparks into the air, but it didn't fall. It turned its red eyes toward him and hissed. The second drone leaped forward. Jake rolled to the side and fired again. The blaster hummed with heat. Run! He yelled. Alira hesitated, but then turned and sprinted toward the ruined tower behind them. Jake followed, firing behind him as the drones chased. Inside the tower, it was dark and cold. Roots had grown through the stone. The floor was cracked. But for now, it was safe. Jake sealed the door with an energy clip from his belt. Alira fell to her knees, gasping. They're not just machines, she said. They track energy. They smell my core. Jake cursed under his breath. They're hunting you like an animal, she nodded. They were made for one reason, to erase my kind completely. Jake paced the room, checking his weapon. We need a new plan. My ship's still parked in the northern canyon. Alira looked up. That's 3 days on foot. Jake looked down at her. Then we leave now. But before they could move, Jake's cum cracked. Bzzd. Jake, this is command. You're off mission. What's happening? He stayed silent. We detected weapon fire. Respond immediately. He clicked the cum off. Alira looked scared. They'll come now. Jake nodded. Yeah, and they'll bring more than questions. As they made their way through an old maintenance tunnel beneath the city, Alira told him more about the drones. They were built by traitors. My people called them shadows with teeth. They never stop hunting. Jake helped her climb over a fallen pipe. Can they be destroyed? Alira shook her head. Only disabled. But they always return, unless we reach the heart. Jake stopped. What heart? The heart of the planet, she said. An old power core deep below the surface. It powers everything. Even the drones. If we shut it down, they sleep. Jake thought for a moment. That's not far from here, he said. I saw a map in the ruins. If we move fast, we can reach it before sunrise. Alira smiled weakly. Then we have a chance. As they ran through the tunnel, Lights blinked above them, faint, like the world itself was watching. Then Jake heard something behind them. A soft hiss. He turned. A single drone had followed them. It moved silently, crawling on the ceiling like an insect. Jake aimed, but it leapt too fast. It slammed into him, knocking the blaster from his hands. Alira screamed. Jake fought with his fists, pushing against the cold metal arms. The drone raised a blade from its arm, aiming for Jake's chest. Then boom. A wave of blue light slammed into the drone, throwing it back. Jake turned. Alira was standing, eyes glowing bright white, both hands raised. Her crystal core pulsed like a star. The drone twitched once and went still. Jake blinked. "You did that?" Alira nodded, breathing hard. "It's dangerous, but I had to protect you." Jake picked up his weapon. "Remind me never to make you angry." They kept running. Because this wasn't over. The others would come, and somewhere deep below the ruins, the heart of the planet was still beating. Hook. The night air was still. Too still. Jake sat by a fire deep in the jungle, staring at the silver ring around Alira's neck. It had begun to glow brighter than ever before. Her body was changing. Her voice sounded stronger. Her skin looked warmer. She had bonded to him. And now Earth Command had given him one clear order: bring the alien in or eliminate her. Jake couldn't sleep. His mind was loud. Beside him, Alira rested against a moss-covered rock. Her eyes were closed, but her hand was holding his. Even in sleep, she held on tight. He looked down at their hands, skin to skin, light between their palms. The bond was real. He could feel her heart like it was beating in his chest. He could feel her dreams. She wasn't some alien project. She was a person. Jake stood up quietly and walked into the trees. The comm device on his wrist blinked again. Final warning. Explorer 17. Return to pickup zone with the subject. She is classified as high risk. Failure to comply will be seen as treason. He stared at the message. Treason? For saving someone? He tapped the screen but didn't respond. Back at the camp, Alira woke slowly. The glow in her body was stronger now. Her voice was calm when she spoke. "They found you, didn't they?" Jake nodded. "They want to take you. They think you're dangerous." Alira looked down. "Maybe I am. Maybe bonding with me will change you. Maybe it already has." Jake laughed quietly. "Too late. I already care." She smiled, a soft and beautiful smile, but then her face turned serious. "There's something I haven't told you," she said. Jake sat beside her. "Go ahead." "When the bond is complete," she said slowly, "I can give life. New life. My species will begin again. But only if the bond is strong, only if you stay." Jake's eyes widened. "You mean you could have a child?" Alira nodded. "Yes, a child that is part of you, part of me, a new beginning." Jake's breath caught in his chest. All this time, he thought he was saving her, but she was also saving something much bigger. A future. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. The sky above them flashed. A large human ship had entered orbit. Jake's wrist device blinked again. "Your location has been locked. Extraction team inbound. Prepare the subject." Alira looked at Jake with quiet fear. "You have to decide now," she whispered. "Do you give me to them? Or stand with me?" Jake stood still. This was it. He could follow orders, be a hero to his people, or break every rule for someone he had just met, but someone who had trusted him when she had nothing. He looked at her glowing eyes, her shaking hands, the hope in her voice, and he made his choice. He grabbed his bag, tossed it over his shoulder, and handed Alira his emergency cloak. "Get ready," he said. "We run." Alira blinked. "You're not turning me in?" "No," Jake said firmly. "I don't care what they say. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't feel what I felt." Alira nodded once, and for the first time. She didn't look like the last of her kind. She looked like the start of something new. As they moved through the thick jungle, the sky above them filled with flashing lights. Dropships began to land near the ruins. Scanners say they're landing behind us, Jake said. We head to the southern ridge. There's an old shuttle port. We can use it. Alira held his hand. I trust you. They ran through the trees, dodging roots and broken metal, guided only by the fading stars and the light from her core. Hours later, just as the sun touched the edge of the world, they reached the ancient port. It was overgrown and half-buried. But one ship still stood old, but intact. Jake wiped sweat from his forehead. We might have a shot. But before he could open the hatch, he heard voices. Human voices. The soldiers had arrived. Hook. Jake raised his hands. Blaster on the ground. Soldiers in front of him, guns aimed. Alira stood in silence, glowing softly. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She just stared at the humans. The same way a deer stares at a hunter's arrow. The squad leader's voice cracked through the tension. Step away from the alien. Explorer 17, you are interfering with official orders. Jake didn't move, because this wasn't just about Alira anymore. This was about choosing what was right, even if it meant turning against his own kind. The wind whipped across the old landing platform. Alira stood behind Jake, her silver hair dancing like smoke. 12 soldiers stood in a line, blasters raised. A ship hovered above them, engines humming. Explorer 17, the commander called again. Final warning. Step aside and allow us to take the subject into custody. This alien is classified as a Class R biohazard. Jake turned his head slightly. She has a name. It's Alira, the commander frowned. That's not relevant. She's a person, Jake shouted. Not a weapon, not a threat. She's bonded to me. She's alive. The soldiers didn't lower their weapons, but something began to shift. Behind Jake, Alira stepped forward. I will go, she said softly. Don't hurt him, I'll go with you. No, Jake growled. She touched his arm gently. If I resist, they'll kill you. Jake shook his head. If they touch you, I'll stop them. Then without warning the ground shook. Not from the ship above, but from deep below. Alira's eyes widened. It's the core, she whispered. It's waking up. From the jungle behind them, a blue pulse flashed across the trees. Old machines. Sleeping drones. All reactivated, one by one. They began to rise. The soldiers turned. Their comms screamed with warning signals. Unknown energy spike. Drones approaching from all sides. Jake saw them coming, metal monsters crawling through the trees. Red eyes glowing, arms sharp as swords. This was no rescue mission anymore. It was war. Jake grabbed Alira's hand. Run! They sprinted toward the back wall of the landing platform, dodging blaster fire and falling debris. Behind them, drones leapt onto the soldiers. Screams filled the air. One soldier saw Jake and shouted, "Stop them! Shoot the traitor!" A bolt hit the wall next to Jake's head. Alira turned, her eyes glowing like stars. I can stop them, she said. If I connect with the core. Jake nodded. Where is it? She pointed to the cracked ground. Below this base. That's why they came here. It's right underneath us. Another explosion shook the ground. Jake looked at the hatch of the old ship beside them. We can fly down into the tunnels. Alira hesitated. If I connect with the core, it might destroy. Jake grabbed her face gently. Don't say that. She smiled sadly. I was the last of my kind, Jake. Maybe I was never meant to live long. Maybe I was just meant to pass the spark. Jake pressed his forehead to hers. You gave me more than a spark, Alira. You gave me a reason to care again. Tears slid down her cheeks. Then they ran for the ship. Inside, Jake fought with the controls while Alira stood in the back, her hand over her glowing chest. The old ship lifted just as drones swarmed the platform. The soldiers were gone now either. Escaped or dead, they flew down, into the tunnels and deeper, until the ship reached the chamber of the planet's heart. It was beautiful. A giant sphere of white-blue light floated in the middle of the chamber. Cracks glowed across the ground like veins. Ancient machines stood silent, but watching. Illyra stepped toward it. Jake followed, hand on his blaster just in case. But the core didn't attack. It. Like it recognized her. I was born. From this, Illyra whispered, it remembers me. She stepped into the light. Jake shouted, Illyra, wait. She looked back. Her smile was peaceful. Then the light consumed her. For a second, everything went still. Then boom. A shockwave exploded through the tunnels. Machines everywhere shut down. The drones above froze. The sky cleared. The war was over. Jake ran to where she had stood. The light faded. She lay there breathing. Alive. Changed. The glow inside her now pulsed gently, steady, strong. Her core had fused with the planet. She was no longer just the last. She was the beginning. Hook. It was silent underground. No gunfire, no machines. No orders. Just the soft, steady rhythm of breath. Hers. Illyra's body lay in the center of the old world's heart, surrounded by soft blue light. Her skin no longer dimmed. Her chest no longer trembled. And when she opened her eyes, Jake was still there, waiting. Jake had not moved in hours. He sat beside her, leaning against a broken console, watching her sleep. The pulse of the planet was calm now. The drones were gone, shut down by Illyra's connection to the core. The war was over, but Jake didn't smile yet. Not until she woke. Not until he knew she was okay. Then, slowly her fingers twitched. He leaned forward. Illyra? She opened her eyes. For a second, she looked confused. Then she saw him and smiled. You stayed, she whispered. Of course I did, Jake said. You're crying. Jake touched his cheek and laughed softly. Guess I am. Illyra sat up slowly. The glow inside her chest was steady now. She touched it gently. The core accepted me. Jake looked around. You shut down everything. You stopped the war. She nodded. I didn't just stop it. I became part of this planet now. My energy is in the earth, in the sky, in every part of what's left. Jake helped her to her feet. So what now? Illyra turned to him. She placed his hand over her chest. You asked me once if life could begin again, she said softly. Now it will. He stared at her. You mean, she nodded. Yes, I carry new life. Jake's mouth opened slightly. He stepped back, stunned. You're sure? I can feel it, she said. Our bond worked. The future is here. Above them, the planet had started to change. Plants began to grow again in the jungle. The sky no longer glowed red, but soft purple and gold. The core had reached out, healing the surface, waking seeds that had slept for centuries. The soldiers who had chased them were gone. The Earthship had vanished. And no new orders came. Jake's come was silent. The war was forgotten. Now it was just them. Jake and Illyra spent the next few weeks in the high mountains, building a small shelter beside a clear river. The land around them grew greener each day. Illyra's glow was brighter now, not just in her skin, but in her spirit. She laughed more. She smiled often. And every evening, as the stars rose, she would lay her hand on her stomach and whisper softly, in her own language, a lullaby for the life inside her. One night, Jake sat beside her and asked, Do you think others will come? Other survivors like you? Illyra thought for a moment. I don't know, she said. But maybe the signal I sent before the drones came. Maybe someone heard it. Jake nodded. And if no one comes? She smiled at him. Then we start. Again, just us. A human and the last Palaxari. Jake wrapped his arm around her. No, he said. Not the last anymore. The camera would fade here, showing them standing on the cliff at dawn. A new world behind them. A new future ahead. And in her arms, the first heartbeat of a new species.